Welcome to my kitchen, everyone. I'm Dr. Haffizulla. Today we're making a delicious Dominican dish. It's Dominican Bacalao con Tayota y Huevo, or salted cod with chayote and egg. Codfish has long been one of the most popular imports in the Caribbean since the early 16th century. This nutritious white fish is most commonly salted in order to help preserve the fish for long-term storage. Now, once salted, you can make this into fritters, stews, and many other delicious dishes. Salted cod, or bacalao, is an ingredient that was inexpensive. It was just easy to store and cook, and it is steeped in Caribbean gastronomic culture and heritage. Now, to effectively remove that salt before cooking, start by soaking in water for at least an hour, then boil for about 20 minutes, draining that water repeatedly until the flaked cod is mildly salted. Now, the chayote, it originated in Central America, where it was cultivated by the Aztecs and Mayans. Its common name, which is Spanish, derives from the Nahuatl name Chayote. European explorers spread this plant to the Caribbean, South America, and Europe. Eventually, it was also introduced to Africa, Asia, and Australia. Now, in Barbados, Guadeloupe, Grenada, and my home country, Trinidad, it's known as the Christophine. In Antigua, it's known as Guisquil. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's Choco. And in Haiti, it's Militant. And Jamaica, it's called the Chocho. Come on and cook with me. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In the Kitchen with Dr. H. I'm Dr. Haffizulla, and today I'm celebrating a beautiful, delicious Dominican dish. And it is an ode to the Caribbean because we all use salted cod in one way or another. So the dish I'm making today is a Dominican Bacalao con Tayota y Huevo. The beautiful part of this dish, though, is a lot of the components are already pre-cooked. The cod was already boiled and the salt was removed as much as possible, and that is really important to do that because we use over 8,000 milligrams of salt in this salted cod, and we want to remove as much of that as possible. You can always add in some extra flavors as you need to, but we definitely don't need that much salt, and just flake it down a little bit with a nice fork. And then I've also pre-boiled the chayote. I've cut it into quarters and boiled it in a little bit of salted water, not too much salt in there. And you see how beautiful they are? And I just store it in water right in the fridge. Now you can do all of that prep ahead of time.
Why is CVS Pharmacy America's choice for vaccinations?
Because we all got the COVID-19 vaccine and flu shot. And I can make the appointment right here.
Save time, schedule online. No wonder CVS Pharmacy is America's choice for vaccinations.
So let's get started. I'm going to heat up some olive oil in my pan. I've just started heating up some olive oil. You see it right in here. Now the first thing we're going to do is actually start onions in first. If you put the onions in first, you can have the water come out of that onion and allow it to become translucent. If you put the garlic in first, you might burn that garlic. So it's a nice trick to make sure that your onions go in first. So I have some beautiful red onions here. I'm going to stir that around. You can hear the sizzle in the pot. Now once that becomes a little bit more translucent, you can add in a touch more olive oil if needed here, just to ensure that you get all of your onion nicely coated with that gorgeous extra virgin olive oil. Stir that around a little bit. I keep my heat on medium heat because we're going to start to add our components in just one at a time. And because most of the components are already cooked, this is going to be a very quick dish. This is something that's high in protein. It is really high in fiber. So the chayote, or chocho, now growing up in Trinidad, my mother used to cut this up, take the skin off, and just peel it and cut it up into nice little slices. And we would add that into salads and different dishes. But this is such a delicious and refreshing vegetable. My sisters and I would come by and always eat all of her prep. So again, always remember, if you've got families like mine, my 4 kids do the same thing, my husband too, cut more prep. because you might have some missing. If they smell the flavors in the kitchen, that is inevitable, right? So my onion is now beginning to start to cook down a little bit more. You can increase the heat a little bit if you'd like, but this is more than enough olive oil in here. After it starts to lose some of that opaqueness to it, it becomes more translucent, then you can add in your garlic. Right here, I've got some minced garlic. You can see the recipe, we have it here for you. And you know, this dish, it just combines so many flavors that we're all used to in different ways. It's just a beautiful way to honor some of the fresh foods that we have around us. In the Caribbean, we have so many healthy dishes, this being one of them. So I was just so excited to make this with you today. Now, once the garlic and the onions have a chance to marinate a little bit together, cook down together, become great friends in there, then we're gonna add in the flaked cod. So you can just, you know, take your cod in a bowl and you can use a nice big fork like I have here and flake it down nicely, just to make sure that they're nice little bite-sized pieces. Flake it down in whichever way you choose. And sometimes I might even use a pastry blender. I've used that before to make these chunks sort of become nice and just bite-sized. So now it's ready for me to add in some bacalao. I'm gonna add a little bit of that into here right now. I'm gonna add it actually before the tomatoes and some of the other pieces, because I want that to sort of get a little bit of a smoky flavor to it. It just depends on your taste, your preference, right? So let that cook down a little bit. Now I do have two types of tomatoes here. I've got these grape or cherry tomatoes, which I'm actually gonna use in there, and use some roasted diced tomatoes. So we're just gonna literally cut this down a little bit. As it's cutting down nicely, I'm gonna cut it lengthwise, as you see here, so you can see it in the dish, and they already are bite-sized, which is beautiful. The beautiful part about tomatoes and the flavor of tomatoes, they need some salt to get a little bit more flavorful, to bring out the tomatoiness of the tomato. But you already have that salt, right? In the salted cod. So it works out perfectly. So I think this is just enough tomato. Let's do one more right here, just like that. And we're gonna take those and just wait for a second. We're gonna put in some of the bell peppers. Look how beautiful this is. Look at the colors. We're gonna put that straight into our dish. I have red, orange, yellow, and green. Look how stunning that looks. Put as many of the peppers as you'd like in there. Give it a nice toss. That, oh, it smells amazing in here. Now, you can choose to add in some more of the cod. We're gonna do that in just a little bit. I just wanted some of the cod to get a little extra smokiness before adding the rest in. Saute this nicely. See how I'm just making sure that everything is combined nicely. So gorgeous. This is such a healthy dish. Now, I can throw in some of my tomatoes. Tomatoes will start to release some of that water. It's going to start to marry with the saltiness of the cod, and it's going to just bring this entire dish together. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, and remember, we don't need to add any extra salt at this point. We had salted cod in there. We definitely don't want to have too much salt in our dish.
Special thanks to our sponsors: Aetna CVS Health, American Heritage School.
Now I'm going to get 2 eggs ready. As I get my eggs ready, you're just going to crack them and just lightly beat them. As you lightly beat them, you want to just kind of keep them on the side until you're ready. There we go. We've had a little tiny baby shell make it in there when we take them out. But either way, we'll go ahead and give this a nice beat those little eggs a little bit. Cut the shell off to the side here. Just let that stay there a minute. Let's give this another little toss. This is a good point to put in my chocho or the chayote. See how gorgeous that is? Just like that. So my chayote, remember, is already cooked. It's already cooked in salted water. So we're just going to drop in as many of these pieces as you like. You want it to get to the same temperature as everything else in there. We want that to happen before we add the eggs in. Now this is so full of fiber. Oh, and it literally takes on the flavor of whatever you're cooking. That's the beautiful part of it. It's sort of flavor neutral. but it has such a refreshing taste to it. I tell you, the hot Caribbean island that we grew up in Trinidad, I always loved it when my mother was preparing this in the kitchen. My sisters and I, especially my older sister, she would come by probably before me and eat all of the prep ahead of time. Well, I see the same thing as I told you happening in my own family, my kids. You know, they're also little chefs. Not even little, I shouldn't call them little in my mind. They're my babies always. They're a little more grown now, but they've always been cooking in the kitchen with me. So this is an ode to them. They're always coming up with something new and refreshing. So there are my eggs, lightly beaten. Before I add them in, I am going to add some smoky tomatoes into there. These are diced tomatoes. It adds a little bit more moisture and a little bit more depth. So, you know, we all have our different versions to some of these Caribbean dishes. So whatever works for you. I'm still honoring my Dominican friends and family here with this beautiful dish. So you notice the chayote is going to actually absorb some of those juices. It's going to take on some of those flavors. We can actually let this cook down just a tiny bit more. I'm going to let all of the temperature, all the vegetables kind of come to the same temperature before we put in the eggs. The eggs is sort of the last step. You can also then adjust your seasonings. And the final thing will be to cover it with a little bit of chopped parsley. You can use cilantro or any greens that you have. So here we go. That's perfect. You see the bubbling on the very bottom there? And my tomatoes are beginning to wrinkle a little bit. That's what you want to see. Okay, now actually looks ready. I'm going to add in a little bit more of my cod. Depends on how much cod you want to have in your dish. It's totally up to you. I do have a recipe there, but again, do what works for you and your family. Okay? Again, this is already cooked, so you can add in as much or as little as you'd like. And you notice that the edges of the chocho or the chayote are softening a little bit. That means it's really beginning to meld beautifully into this dish. Now we're ready to put those eggs in. I'm literally just going to pour the eggs just over the top, just like that. And then I'm going to mix it. I'm going to just close the pot lid for a minute and let it set. And look at that. Look how stunning that is. Oh, this takes an egg dish, a cod dish, to a whole new level, right? I love that we can celebrate all of the Caribbean islands in all different ways. Look how quickly that's setting. That is beautiful. You see the chayote is covered in some of those eggs. Absolutely beautiful dish. I'm gonna let that stay and set for just a little bit before we get to plating. Let's turn our heat down just a little bit because we want to make sure. And I'm using a non-stick pan. I recommend that you use less oil when you have a non-stick pan. This is a copper non-stick pan. Good way for you to reduce your oil intake, your fat intake, improve your heart health, keep your body healthy and well, right? This is our one life to live. We are going to be making a beautiful sorrel drink, okay? This sorrel drink, it reminds me of Christmas time in Trinidad, okay? All you need to do is boil your dried sorrel. I'm going to show you what we have here. We have several different ingredients, and this is that deep, dark red sorrel this is what it becomes. We have dried hibiscus flowers, also known as sorrel. You can get this in any Caribbean grocery store, any online store. And you take this, you can marry that with some orange peel, some cloves, some allspice berries, some cinnamon sticks, and I love to use some date sugar to sweeten my sorrel. Now we're gonna just take a cinnamon stick and pop it in our glass. And right here, we have a nice sorrel drink that I've steeped for hours, and that's why it takes a little bit of time. And you pour it over the top, just like that. Who needs wine when you have a gorgeous sorrel drink, right? And I tell you, if you'd like to, taste it and see if you need to flavor it with anything. I love using date sugar from the date fruit itself. Just pulverized ground dates adds fiber, a lot of antioxidants, and it just makes this even healthier. So you can add a touch of that into there. The fiber component in there, oh, it's delicious. Super easy. I'm gonna just melt it right into my drink right here. And you can do this ahead of time. I prefer to just add whatever sweetener, and I prefer again the date sugar right at the very end, so you can kind of make it to your own taste, right? It's not too sweet for everyone. Let me just try a sip to you. Oh my gosh. Again, just took me back to Christmas in Trinidad. And look at that. Our beautiful bacalao con Tayota y Huevo is done. I'm going to just taste it a little, making sure that it has enough seasonings in there. And if you need to add a little bit of salt or pepper, now is the time to adjust it. Okay, let's go, let's try this. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. It doesn't need a thing. And if you want to add hot peppers to that, go for it. That is delicious. So now we're gonna plate it. I'm so excited. We're gonna move our sorrel elements to the side, bring this beautiful bowl in, and we're literally going to plate it right here. Look how gorgeous that is. Stunning, right? The chocho or the chayote, the onions, the peppers. Look at the colors. You're eating your colors. Full of protein, full of fiber, steaming hot and delicious. This is, look how quick, this was done very quickly, right? This didn't take us long at all because we did all of our prep ahead of time. I'm going to top it with a little parsley, just like that. And just like that, we have it done. We made a delicious, nutritious, healthy Dominican bacalao con Tayota y Huevo, or the chayote with eggs and salted cod. Isn't that stunning? You can serve this any time of the day, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And we paired it with a date sugar sweetened sorrel. Here's to good health and long life. Wishing you all only the best. See you for the next episode. Unsalted codfish is a healthy type of fish with many dietary benefits. It is high in protein and low in fat, which makes it an excellent protein source. Now, cod is also very high in vitamins and minerals that are essential to the body's functions. It's also very low in mercury and safe to consume by most people. You can enjoy it steamed, baked, grilled, or air-fried, even stir-fried or in a spicy curry. If you're looking to experiment with interesting veggies, chayote or the chocho is a smart choice. It's a nutritious food that contains several vitamins and minerals like folate, vitamin C, and is an excellent source of fiber. It helps with digestion and health-promoting plant compounds such as polyphenols.